Good day, YouTube. It's Saturday. It's December 23rd, 2017. Yep, day before Christmas Eve. So, while y'all was sleeping this morning, I was up at 5 and a little running around. Came out here and started working. I measured, fit, cut, and welded the top, which is the end of the ramp on the Stepvan drop-down ramp tailgate project. And it's all welded in place, and I have started cutting the 1.5 inch, the studs basically that support the floor and the back and everything, and I've got those fit in there real nice. You know, I welded this corner, so I kind of had to radius the corner of these. I cut them just a tick long and then just ground them to fit. They are a perfect fit. They're very nice. They're very parallel. I did a lot of the welding in here so that because I was ready, and then to get these fit, and then again radius that corner for this weld in that corner. I clamped some pieces of steel here with the C-clamp there, just so I could not have to fight these things. I could just set them in place, and then they'll flush out on the back side like they're supposed to. And if you remember my design, that's a good spot to look. Had, you know, this 1/2 inch reveal here. This is where my plywood is going to set into. So I've got studs, if you will, designed to go 12 inches on center, if you can see my marks. So 1 in the center, and then 2 in between, and then 2 over here, obviously. And these are actually roughly 12 inches on center, evenly spaced and all that. So that'll be a ton of good support. I might go to, 5/8 or 3/4 plywood, or I might do 1x4 cedar decking. I haven't really figured that out yet. I guess I'll have to figure that out probably by the end of today. So the potential is that the wood will come up maybe an 1/8 inch past this reveal. Perfectly fine. It'll be a good edge. So that's what we're doing. I'm about to weld these in place. I'll fully weld this edge here. Obviously I'm on the back side. I've got the truck pushed out the door a little bit so I can work on it. There's my pile of steel, which I'm not going to need all of that. I tend to overbuy steel so that I have something for another day. So I'm going to fully weld these corners. I'll just put a few stitch welds maybe every foot or so along the side. It will add a little bit of strength, not like it needs it. Like I said, this is 1/4 inch thick 2 inch angle. That's pretty sturdy for a 6.5 foot tailgate, and the thing is going to be way heavy, so nothing a 2,500 pound winch won't pull and close. It's got a good fit. That truck is pretty darn square for as old as it is. I didn't have a lot of hope that I was going to be able to build a square tailgate, because I didn't think the truck was that square, but it's not too bad. So I'll take a break here and start welding, and then I'll start cutting and fitting the rest of these, and I'll turn the camera back on after we get some more progress made, and excuse me, we'll go from there. We'll see you in a minute. But things are coming along nicely. I've got the side 1.5 inch square tubing all welded in, kind of put some stitches along the sides, did the corners up real nice, real good fit. I'm taking the time to cut everything just a tad long and then grind to fit. So it's taking a little bit of time, but it's kind of worth it in the end. It is for me anyway. No sense driving this stuff in with a hammer, making everything not quite perfectly square. So you can see I've got these the next 2 studs ready to weld in. Again, real nice fits. I've just simply C-clamped this piece of steel on the bottom so they have something to sit on, keeping them square. Mark the center, double check them with a tape measure, and then we'll weld them in. I might just weld one side for now. That'll be good. Hey, let's weld one real quick. Let's throw you up in the stand. Yeah! Let's weld those in. Welder on, gas on, gloves on. real quick. Clothes are getting nasty. No sense making my camera all nasty. All right, how'd we do? Kind of quick. Yeehaw. Okay, so we got these two welded in. So I got just 3 more to cut and fit and weld in. I am taking my time again, cutting them a little long, grinding them to fit. So I'm not driving them in there, and they're not loose. Nice tight fits. And then when I stand this thing back up, I'll complete welding all of those things all the way around, make them super strong. All right, anybody curious what we're welding with? This is my 155 amp Lincoln. Excuse me, let me put my helmet down. Had this welder for, oh man, I can't even tell you how long. Maybe, I'm gonna open the side here real quick. See how much wire I got left in there. I think we'll get enough to finish. Gosh, 15 years probably. Love the machine. Not a minute's trouble with it. You can put the big spools or the small spools in. I consider that a big spool. You can also get an adapter that hangs out here. You leave the cover open, you can run a great big spool. But running, that's the wire we're running right there. Anyway, great machine. 240 volt machine. They make 120 volt versions, a little smaller, a little less duty cycle, but they make good machines. I'm sure glad I invested in one so many years ago. So let's get some more cutting and some more fitting and then some more welding. This thing is coming along. Well, it's come a long way. It's only 11 o'clock in the morning still, so getting an early start kind of helped. I've got all of the, I call them studs, I guess, all welded on one side. And I put a come along on it so I can change the level. Of course, the goal is to put an electric winch up there. What I need to do now before I go much farther is the point where the winch will attach out here. I can't have it this high. It'll interfere with the winch itself on the top. So I need to come down here a foot or so and put something here. Remember, this is going to be a wood deck, so I need a flip-up eye. And I didn't grab that over these last couple weeks, but there's a couple options here in town. So I'm going to go find whatever that is, and then I may put a couple more supports here or cross supports here so that I can set that and weld that in. That way, no matter what, this will be strong as heck. When I deck over it, we'll make a hole for it or access to it or something. We'll do something even if it's wrong. But I do want to weld that piece in there. The other thing I'm thinking that maybe I didn't mention is I've purposely left some room on this side here because I've been thinking that there's no way that this not quite 6.5 foot long ramp's going to be long enough due to the height of the truck. And I've fiddled with designs for a long time to try to make this point not higher than that point. And I just couldn't come up with it based on where the lights are on the outside and not having to redo the whole back of the truck. So I decided to live with that, and I know I'm going to have this gap in here to fill in, maybe even ramp up a little bit. So I got a little work to do in there, I know that. And that put this point a little higher, which makes the ramp a little steeper. So I was hunting for everything I could do to make the ramp not quite as steep when it's in its down position, when I'm rolling stuff in and out of here. But the reality is I've kind of told myself I'm probably going to have to make an extension 2 to 3 feet on the ramp when it's all said and done. This is all I'm hoping to accomplish even this winter, because I think no matter what the situation, I can live with it. And then I have a door and I have it secure and I have all that. But I have 2 or 3 different ideas in my mind about how to make an extension. Probably it's going to be one that flips up from and always is visible from the outside, and so that when you continue to let it down, it's strong enough to deal with that. So that's probably the design. I had a couple other ideas, ones that extend out, but the bottom line is I've got this pull point here, which is always going to be here. So I didn't want one that folds down on the inside, because it will never fold flush with the cable or the winch on it. And then if you do something on the inside, it folds down, and if you put the ramp down, it's going to want to fold itself back up again. If you had one that folded out and laid against the structure and it stayed parallel to that structure, then you wouldn't have to put props up out here and all that stuff. Might just well build it strong enough. So these sides are built that strong with a little bit of room in here in case I need to add something. The other thing I was thinking too is I might come back here and add guardrails. So if this was like a stage and there would actually be people here, 2 foot high, 2.5 foot high guardrail or something would be appropriate. So I've got room in here to weld something up that a guardrail would thread into or pin into or something, and that could always be added in the future when I understand what that looks like, if I ever need it. So a lot of that thought went into the design of this thing, but I'm pretty happy with where I'm at with it. So I'm gonna head out and pick up my wife from doing some shopping and look for a deal to weld that is a flip-up eye like you'd see in a enclosed car trailer and stuff like that. I got a couple ideas. Now that I have it at this point, it'll be easy to select the correct product for that. I think while I'm at it, I will get more than one and spot them, maybe a couple of them along the side, a couple of them along this side, so that items can be strapped down, and maybe even a couple more down the center. My thought is, if this thing ever rolls in like a Christmas parade, I could set a ton of speakers up out here and strap them down so they wouldn't fall. So this thing would actually be rolling through town with speakers blaring, and they'd be strapped down. So the idea of having those below the floor level is desirable. So, and welding them in so that nothing happens to them, I think it's also a good idea. So that's what I'm going to go do, and I'll check back with you a little bit. And we're back from Harbor Freight. I had my eyes on these for this application. I was just kind of waiting to get this thing done and make sure that they would fit properly. So these are a D-ring anchor. They say something about they'll break at about 10,000 pounds, something like that. So we're overbuilding it. Might as well overbuild it with these. And I bought 3 of them with a 20% off coupon for one. They're about $5 a piece. So $15 for 3 beefy D-rings. Pretty good. So, but they don't fit on one. And I need to put these out here. So these are the ones that are going to support the tailgate when I'm using it like a stage. So it'll be supported off the top of the Stepvan there with a cable or chain or something down to here. And I can't have it right on the corner. Let me get one out of the package here. There we go. Like that. I need to set it over. So I need to weld a piece next to this one. Like I have this one positioned over here. And, set it in this ballpark here. Yeah, maybe up just a little farther. I want it out here as far as I can get it. Okay. So I've cut these pieces. We'll scab them onto the side there. I chamfered this edge to give it clearance for this weld. and we'll just weld on across it. It's nice and flush on every side. We'll put a couple stitches out here, we'll weld it here, weld it on the other side, and we will weld this down. Find the best position for it, and we'll weld it down. We'll plug weld it there, and then we'll just cut out the plywood or whatever we use for decking so that this has access. So it's about a 1/2 inch, so it's flush with here now. So walking over it, rolling over it, will be fine. So that's what we're gonna do. So I'll do some welding here for a little bit and check back with you in a bit. Well, we got them all welded up. These are kind of going to show, and I ended up scabbing another piece in here so that my decking has a place to land, so this little strip isn't going to get it. So whatever the decking is, we'll end up, cutting most of all of this out, and I need some support for it. So I ended up scabbing a piece in on both sides. We got that one welded in, good shape, and the one over here on the corner welded in, good shape. Got these all plug welded, so they're going nowhere, right? Little warm. So again, these will be supported off of the corner of the truck. Chains or cables, and we'll kind of go from there. Chains are easier to store, so probably go chains. So I think the task that's left now is to come back and weld, fully weld everything that needs fully welded, and it's mostly just the sides of the studs. I did the center one already. We'll get that done, and then we'll close the gate. I have to look at a couple things like this that I need to trim and round these corners, so it's just down to the finishing. I thought about cutting these, but I left these long, so I was just sure to have something to weld to. Right now I'm not seeing a big reason to remove them, so I'll probably just clean them up, just grind them down, round off the sharp corner, and we'll leave that for now. What would be cool if I get this all finish welded, ground where it needs ground, and cleaned up and painted. So tomorrow could be sheeting on the outside and sheeting on the inside. So wow, we're ahead of schedule. That's awesome. Always concerned that something's going to come up that's going to dig into my time. Not too bad of welds. Can you see that? Focus, focus, focus. Yeah, pretty good welds. And the weld the holes. So we'll do that, and we'll check back in a little bit. Well, we got all that cleaning up done, at least on the inside, ready to start on the outside, or the bottom side of the ramp. I went ahead and closed it up, make sure everything was still fitting good, and it is. So real happy with it. Now what I have to do is just all the welding on the outside, fully weld the hinges, get all this stuff fully welded. I got a really ugly weld there, but I think it must have been upside down. Anyway, yeah, we'll get all this stuff welded up, cleaned up. I'll take you inside here for a second and show you the fit. It is raining today a little bit. So there's how the corners fit. It's looking real good. Obviously I cleaned everything up where the gasket, so where it's going to seal there. Those are the supports again, and this is where the winch will connect. For now I just got to come along. In fact, the door is shut against the come along on the rope and so forth, but I have it clamped so it doesn't fall open. So yeah, pretty happy with progress today, and I'll continue my efforts on the outside, get that stuff welded, get everything ground. I got this side wire wheeled good enough that we'll get the thing wiped down, and I would like to get some Rust-Oleum on it today so that it can dry tomorrow. I've got walking back out, I got sheet metal for free from work. They were putting new signs on semi-trailers that advertise our company. So on the outside of these 4x8 sheets of aluminum. There our logo is, but on the inside it's nothing. So I got 2 sheets of it. There's a few holes that were used for mounting. It's not perfect, but it's close. And it was free, so that's pretty cool. I got some sheet metal. Hopefully we put that on tomorrow. So Stepvan's getting wet. It's probably the only time it's ever been stored inside in its whole life. So I'll start to welding and start to grinding, and well, I probably got 1 to 2 hours to get that done and cleaned up, and then we'll move on to painting, I hope. We'll catch you in a minute. Well, earlier I commented that I had thought to check my gas on my MIG welder, and I did glance at the wire, but you know, it's hard to tell how much wire is left on these spools, but I did run out. I thought it was a lot more on there than there was. Anyway, I had an interruption in my day, did have to run back to Harbor Freight, but you know, that doesn't always mean it's a bad thing. Took a little break, got some more wire, and got the rest of the outside of this welded. And you know, I'm going to admit to something. When I was welding the bottom side of this hinge, I overran it. I overran this about 1/8 of an inch into this, which of course welds the hinge shut. And I spent the better part of 15 minutes grinding that off so the hinge would work. So, oh man, you know, sometimes when you're welding you can't see everything, and especially at the end of a kind of a long day. So that was a screw up. I went ahead and finished welding everything else on the outside, but I haven't ground it all smooth yet. I think I will wait that for tomorrow. I think I've put in a good day. It's about, what is it, about 4:30 or 4:45, something like that. Starting to get dark, and I was up and at 'em pretty early this morning, so 10-11 hour day, something like that. So we're in great shape. I'm going to start off tomorrow grinding these welds, make them all smooth. We'll wipe this thing down, we'll get some paint on it, and then while that's drying, we'll lay out this battery compartment that I showed you earlier in the video. We'll get that laid out. Maybe we'll start cutting and hacking all that rusty crap off the side of the Stepvan and kind of get a plan for that. So that'll work. I'm hoping it doesn't rain tomorrow. Tomorrow being Christmas Eve day, where I can actually kind of push the van outside and paint outside, just doesn't make such a mess inside. And we'll kind of go from there. If it gets dry, maybe we can hang the sheet metal on the outside and go forward from there. So guys and gals, thanks for hanging with me today. This will wrap up part 2 of the ramp tailgate on my officially 1967 Boyertown Stepvan Ford chassis. And thanks for watching, commenting, subscribing. Please share my video if you know someone that's kind of into this kind of stuff. And we'll go for round 3 tomorrow. Hopefully that's a finish up video on the tailgate and a start up video on the battery compartment. You guys have a good evening. We'll see you tomorrow.